I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. I mean, most of us know that this is Psalm 139:14. And I love this verse. There's a song that we used to sing in worship around this verse. But one of the things that I've really picked apart in this verse is that the first part is you're thanking God because you see the beauty that he has created in you. And you recognize that he has a wonderful talent in what he does, the creator does. And you have a deep understanding. What I didn't understand in my younger years was that this was a process. I don't know about you, but um, as a woman, I have oftentimes struggled with with my worth, with my value, with my talents being unique to me. And this verse is a great reminder that I feel like I've kind of grown into. So, have any of you out there ever felt like you just weren't enough or you weren't sure what God was creating when he created you, or um, maybe you just didn't understand God's big plan when you looked at your life, right? Well, this verse is a constant reminder that he knows what he's doing. You were created for a purpose. You have a purpose here on earth, a a set mission, if you will, for my military friends. You have and it's not to please people. Let me just say that. It's not to please people. And I think that's when everything shifted for me, was because I was so busy trying to please everyone around me, and I was pleasing no one, and I was making myself miserable. And whenever I focus on what God has called me to and what he created me for, then I'm able to start realizing that I was created for so much more. That I was playing in a small pond when he had a much bigger pond for me, right? And this can start with your parents. This can start with relationships. It can start with friendships. I listened to a great podcast yesterday. It's The Leader's Cut with Preston Morrison and Tim Ross. And if you've never listened to those two together, I mean, first off, it's like you're just invited into their living room. It reminds me of listening to my dad and his brother telling stories all my life. It's you get a inside view of their friendship and their conversations, and they go deep. But they were talking about friends that you should let go of and friends you should not be, right? So you don't want to be somebody that's holding somebody else back. You don't want to be somebody that if you see them going for what their hopes and their dreams are, that you're holding them back. No, you don't want to also be a yes man either. If you think your friend is making a dangerous decision, um, or it just wouldn't be in their best interest, test it with God and give them that message. But when you're with your friends and when you're with those that you're trying to impress, bosses, family members, colleagues, whoever it is, if you're not true to yourself and who God created you and made you wonderfully knitted together in your mother's womb to be, then you're being a fraud. And I had to look at it from that perspective. And that's not to say that I was a fraud my whole life. I was being I'm using that terminology as that was how I started to feel like I was uncomfortable in my skin because I wasn't doing what I was called to do. And God will make you perfectly uncomfortable where you're at so that you will move in the direction He wants you to go. So I want you to think about failures, heartbreaks, roles others expected for you to play in their lives. You may have been called the dependable one or the fixer or, you know, always the one that made everybody comfortable. But if you're doing that at the expense of who you were created to be, then you're not being authentically all that He created you to be. So, I just want to remind you that God created you uniquely. He looked down, He knew exactly what He was putting in. For me, it was a dose of sarcasm, a dose of humbleness, a dose of generosity. He put all those things knitted into me, and a big dose of humor because I can laugh at just about anything. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. But I'm a masterpiece. My friend Diane will love hearing me say that. I am a masterpiece, but I'm a masterpiece in progress because I am starting to step fully into that plan and that purpose that He created me for. I'm still messy. I'm a hot mess. I will tell you, I'm a hot mess. And I am learning each and every day to lean back on the Creator to test out where I'm stepping to see if that's where my unique identity is supposed to be. So, woo, you about saw me busted in this chair. So, the challenge questions for today is, what label are you wearing today that God never gave you? We as women, we put on a whole bunch of hats. Mom hat, daughter hat, sibling hat, boss, employee, volunteer, mom to other kids. What hat are you putting on that's taking away from the brilliance of what God has created in you? The second challenge question is, how would your self-talk change if you believed you were wonderfully made? You know, again, I'll talk about my friend Diane the other day. She had us do a prompt in ChatGPT that was basically a roasting of us, but it also told it to end it on a positive note. And here in a minute, I'll tell you a little bit of what that said for me. But then the third question is, where in your life can you begin to reclaim your true identity? That's going to require you to put some boundaries up, to redirect yourself to your true identity. And let me just give you a little bit of forewarning. When you do that, there are going to be people that are going to be like lobsters pulling you back into the pail, right? They're going to be grabbing at you going, no, we're not comfortable with your growth. And you're going to have to put boundaries and separation between you and them. Because if you were to step into all that God has created you to be, sometimes you have to shed off friends that were just meant to be there for a season, relationships, work, not spouses. That's a whole other topic. And Tim and Preston even talked about that yesterday. But you have to open yourself up to grow. So the challenge question, it in this roast that my friend had me do, it said, end it on a positive note. So it gave me a whole bunch of things, but the one-liner affirmation that it told me to stick to my mirror was, I'm not confused, I'm called. I'm not scattered, I'm strategic. I'm not tired, I'm training for triumph. You're a warrior, a woman of God, a world changer. Let's go build that empire with focus, fire, and a little flex, right? So let's really, truly step into what we are called to do and be so that we can really make a difference in the world. If we are Christians who are supposed to influence the world in a Christ-like manner, then we really have to start stepping into and walking in the trueness and the greatness that God created us to be. So, like I said, I've said every day, if you want to discuss these more, you can definitely discuss them in the comments below. But if you want more of a private conversation, I have my business group, which is my mischief group. We discuss in there. We also have my Till Heart Society, which is for military women who experience trauma. And then my Dinah's Defenders, which is for those that have experienced church hurt. So we discuss from those perspectives in those groups. But if you have any comments, questions, uh, or thoughts to answer those challenge questions today, I would love to hear them in the comments. And we will be back tomorrow with another verse. Talk to you later. Bye now.